So for treats, Michael Noonan is planning for his budget is the introduction of a property tax from the middle of next year after the less than wholehearted response to the €100 charge in the spring when local authorities were collecting. The revenue commissioners were asked to work out a better system of gathering up the money from next July. David Murphy, our business editor, has been making inquiries about how they're getting on and joins me in studio. Well, David, what's emerging as you understand it?
Well, as one person said to me, you won't feel a thing, and that really means that they're going to try to do it in such a way that there isn't going to be such public opposition. And one mechanism which seems very likely now to be employed is to use the PAYE system. So in other words, what they would do is it would be deducted from people's pay checks through the normal PAYE system. Now, there are a number of issues with this which are going to have to be ironed out. One of the issues is that the employers are likely to have to seek permission from their staff to deduct the money at source. And that's really done for equity and probity reasons. Second issue is going to be that the money is supposed to go to the local authorities. However, there would be an issue whereby somebody, for instance, lives in Wicklow and works in Dublin. Their employer is going to be collecting it in Dublin, and somehow that money is going to have to make its way, for instance, to Wicklow County Council. And then another issue is that each household is effectively going to have to nominate an individual who's going to be liable for the tax. For example, if you have a couple who jointly own a house, either the male or the female or husband and wife or one of the partners is going to have to say, okay, I'm going to be liable for the tax, and then possibly they'd have to reach some sort of accommodation with their significant other.
Well, now, just the thing you mentioned first, Dave, was this idea that employers will have to ask permission of staff for this to be deducted, presumably because the employers can't assume that David Murphy owns a house and is the next place. I mean, you would have to confirm those details, or anybody.
Well, I think it's not only confirming the details, but also the employer is obviously going to be then aware of how much tax liability the individual staff member has in respect of their own house or apartment. So that's going to give rise to some issues. The employer may not be aware of the value of the home, but they would actually be able to see somehow the amount of money that's being collected from that individual.
And how far down the road have they figured things out in a situation where an employee says, well, I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with you. I work for you. You pay tax, you take it from me on the basis of, PAYE. Whether I have a house or whether I sleep in a car or a tent is none of your business, boss. What does the revenue do then?
Well, I think that these are the kind of issues that they're actually trying to iron out at the moment. And one particular point for the revenue is that the revenue system, the revenue commissioners in Ireland have a relatively good reputation when it comes to collecting taxes. And what they're being given here is a situation which is a little bit less than desirable in terms of the amount of money which has been collected. I think the latest figures would indicate about 1/3 of liable individuals haven't paid. That's not a situation that the revenue would be comfortable with at all.
And are they not looking down at something similar or having to face up to something similar? Because there will presumably be a big campaign of disobedience or non-compliance organised by the very same people who organised the last one. And this is the way to do it where PAYE workers are concerned. Just say no.
Well, perhaps it is, but I think that if you look at it politically, there's a big difference between giving money to somebody and then taking it back off them compared to not giving it to them at all. And if you look at what happened with the universal social charge, which is a lot more onerous on many taxpayers than the property charge is ever going to be, there wasn't the type of opposition to the universal social charge because we never had the money.
But people didn't have to agree to have it being taken. If they had to be asked, they might have done a different level of compliance, surely.
That's true.
But anyway, sorry, just because we're running out of time, what about people who aren't in the PAYE scheme? What about farmers and self-employed?
Self-employed people, it looks from the latest intelligence I've garnered, and all of this really is subject to negotiation and discussion, and we've yet to see if all these final details will actually emerge in the budget, but the latest intelligence would suggest that the self-employed people will simply have to pay the property tax as part of their annual return, which happens at the moment in mid-November.
David, thanks for that. David Murphy, business editor. Coming up,